Our first step, if you will, in this chapter, of course, is opening an image. Let me give you maybe a way that you're not all that familiar with. I mean, we know we can go up to the word File and go to Open. We can browse in Bridge and open it that way. So in your work folder, you have this image. Now I've taken it out and put it on the desktop. Most of us know this one. If you right-click your mouse on a Mac or Windows, you can go into Open With and open it with anything you want. But if you have Photoshop open, and we do, and you have visual access on the desktop or wherever it is to the image, we do, all you got to do is drag it over. I really find that kind of cool. Makes it very easy to do. Now, the image we're first working with here, our first step, is 567_3229423.psd. My suggestion would be ignore the name and look for an image that's got a landscape with a bunch of cows on it here. This chapter is about using two sets of tools. They're over here. We have these tools right here, which are our healing brushes, patch tool, content aware move tool, which is pretty cool, and the red eye tool, which I think gets better every version of the program. And the ones we're going to look at in this chapter are actually these two, the clone stamp and the pattern stamp tools. Been there forever, love working with them. We're doing something here called either restoration or manipulation. In Adobe Photoshop, you have that choice. Let me go ahead and expand this out so we get the full window going there. Let me go ahead and double click on the hand tool to make the image a little bit bigger. Restoration, manipulation. What's the difference? In some ways, there is no difference. When you manipulate an image, you're changing the image. When you restore an image, you're bringing it back to the way it looked when it was original. But you're using the same tools to accomplish either goal. So when you're in Photoshop and you're working, it's the intent that would determine the definition. Clone tools can restore, and they can do some really cool special effects too. Now, I want to show you something. In this particular file, if you have it open, there's another layer called Test. And go ahead and open that one up. All it's got in it is a black square and a white circle. The reason I'm doing this is because I want to show you over here on Clone some of the options that you have, and it's easier to see against white than against that photograph. So real quick, if you have the Clone tool selected, you can come up here. Of course, you can click here and choose a different brush, different size, hardness. Don't forget, these tools work with brushes. This one right here opens up all your brushes over here, so you can do just about anything you want. This button right here opens up some more clone source options. Of course, we have blending modes, opacity. This button right here, see it right there? That allows you to work with adjustment layers turned off if you have any. Then you have the aligned option right here, which I think is very important. And what are you sampling? The current layer, which is the default, current and below, or all the layers. Let's just concentrate on aligned, because there's an important distinction between aligned on and aligned off. If you've never used this tool before, what it does is it will copy something from somewhere on the image, your aligned point, to someplace else. So if I come over here to that square and I hold on the Alt key, that's the Alt key in Windows, Option key on a Mac, your cursor changes to a target, click your mouse. Now let go of the Alt key. You will notice it shows it to me. Now that's not new, it goes back a couple of versions, but that's kind of neat because you can see exactly where it's going to go when you place it. So all you got to do is move to where you want it to be, say right about there, and click your mouse. Now when you click your mouse, a relationship begins because we're aligning between where you were originally sampled and where you are now. So if I click and begin dragging, now see the plus sign over there on the right? That's why I'm choosing white, because it's easy to see. If I keep coming down, it'll clone that part too. Now if I let go and move someplace else, watch what happens to that plus sign. It maintains its distance from the original point. That way, if I go over these areas again, they're not going to change. So align is very important because it keeps that relative position between the clone and the source aligned, and it prevents you maybe from messing up if you let go of your mouse and starting again. If you turn it off, watch what happens. Now let's come over here and say Alt click or Option click on a Mac on this one. Now if we come over, it looks the same. It's following me. And if I click my mouse and begin painting, it's doing exactly the same thing. But here is the very, very important difference. If I let go of my mouse, what it will do is it will go back to the original clone point. So if you have something that you want to repeat over and over again, if you have aligned on, that's not going to work. If you turn it off, every time you let go of the mouse, it will go back to the original sampling point. That's aligned or not aligned. Let's go ahead and close out our test, and you can delete this layer if you want to. We don't need it anymore. Okay, we've got an image open of some cows on a hillside. A lot of the images we're using come from a company that I really do respect. It's called Photospin, photospin.com. Been using them for several years. They've got a great reservoir, if you will, of images, just about anything you want, very reasonably priced. So you might want to check them out. Let's get back to our image here. Let's pick up our clone tool. I already have it selected. What do we want to do here? Well, again, we're just kind of doing a little 101 work here, giving you an idea how the tool works. I'm going to use a smaller brush. Now I'm going to use my left and right bracket keys to control the size of the brush. And I really do want to work in a separate layer. And I think that's something it's a given you should almost always do. So I'm going to click the new button down here. And here's our layer up here. Make sure you have that selected. In order for me to pull this off with the blank layer, we have to change one thing. Up here where it says current layer, if you click there, you have current and below and all layers. Current and below. Computer, I got a blank layer, nothing in it. When I alt-click my sample, I want you to drill down to the layer below me and get the stuff from there, but I want you to paint it in the blank layer. See, that's total control. Or if you have a lot of transparent layers between you and what you want, you could say all layers. For us, this one will work just fine. So we come over here and we hold down our Alt key, Option on a Mac, and click on one of these guys. Oh, incidentally, I do have aligned turned off. Now, if I come over there, there he is. I can click anywhere I want, and when I let go, because aligned is turned off, it just keeps making more and more cows. Now, I would suggest occasionally that you stop and re-access a different cow by alt-clicking again. Otherwise, you're just going to have a lot of cows doing exactly the same thing. So if we want to add with the align, that's perfect. How about getting rid of some of the cows? Well, we can go into layer 1, turn it on and off, and get rid of a whole bunch. So let's do this. Select layer 1, reach over on your keyboard and press Control, and that's Control in Windows. It would be Command on a Mac, Control or Command A, which is just a shortcut for select all, and then press the Delete key. So we cleared the layer out. What if you want to get rid of some of the cows? Well, we need to clone over the cows some of the grass. So we come over here, say, and we alt-click here. And if I come over here and just really very carefully start making the cows go away. Now I can get into a different area. See the difference between the grass here and the grass here? It's not going to work. So if I want to get rid of this cow, I would alt-click, say, over here, resample, and then come over here and get rid of him. There you go. You can add them, you can subtract them. What happens when we turn a line back on? Let's do that. Let's actually create another layer. Don't really have to, but let's do this. Okay, here's our new layer. We're going to have to say now, all layers. Now, what do you want to do? I want to take this tree, and I want to clone another tree over here, but with aligned on. That's very important. Let's start right down here. Hold down the Alt key and click. Now we can use that sample it gives us to line up to a different place and then just start painting. Now the cool thing about this is if you do let go, it will remember where you were because we aligned, and we can start back up again. So if you've got large complex areas that you really want to do, then turning aligned on I would consider to be rather important. And there you go. Now this part right here looks exactly like this part right here, of course. I want to take some of the darker area and cover that up so they don't look exactly the same. So I'm going to sample over, say, about there. And I'm going to get right about here and just kind of dress that area up just a little bit so it doesn't look exactly the same way. Well, there you go. The clone tool, and we'll use it more. We're just getting acquainted with it. The clone tool allows you to either restore or manipulate images using information from this image or actually from another one. We're going to use this image in the next lesson. So let's do this. Let's get rid of the layers that we made, those two. Now you have a couple of choices here. If you save this image, do a file save, the one thing you're going to lose, which I don't think is a big deal, is you're going to lose the test layer from this image. If you want to save that, close the image down. If you don't care about that, go ahead and save it. Up to you.